Life is a stage, darling, and morality is the script we're all trying to follow, each of us playing our part. But what happens when the lines get blurry, when the script isn't clear, when our gut feelings clash with cold, hard logic, creating inner turmoil? Welcome to the fascinating world of moral decision-making, where every choice is a complex puzzle. It's a world where emotions and reason tango in a complex and often bewildering dance, each trying to lead. We like to think we're rational creatures making decisions based on logic, that we weigh the pros and cons before making a choice, carefully considering every angle. But let's be honest, ducks. Emotions play a starring role in our moral judgments, often overshadowing logic. More often than not, they're the ones calling the shots, steering our decisions, like a mischievous little imp on our shoulder whispering, "Go on, you know you want to," tempting us to follow our desires. But where do these emotions come from? Are they innate or learned? And how much power should we give them in our decision-making process? These are the questions that have puzzled philosophers and psychologists for centuries, sparking endless debates. And they're the questions we'll be grappling with today, diving deep into the human psyche. So buckle up, my darlings. Prepare yourselves for an intellectual adventure. It's going to be a bumpy ride through the ethical jungle, full of twists and turns. David Hume, that Scottish rascal, was onto something. He had a profound understanding of human nature and the complexities of our moral lives. He understood that morality isn't just about cold, calculating reason. It's not merely a matter of logic and rationality. It's about feeling, darling, feeling deeply. Our emotions play a crucial role in shaping our moral landscape. Our moral judgments are ultimately based on our emotions. They are the foundation upon which we build our sense of right and wrong. We feel approval for actions we deem virtuous and disapproval for those we find wicked. These emotional responses guide our moral compass. Think about it. When you see someone being kind and compassionate, don't you feel a warm glow inside? That sensation is your emotional response to goodness. That's your moral sentimentality at work. It's a natural, instinctive reaction that tells you what is right. It's like a little voice saying, "Yes, that's good." This internal approval reinforces our understanding of virtuous behavior. That's how people should behave. Our emotions guide us towards actions that promote well-being and harmony. On the flip side, when you witness injustice or cruelty, you feel a sense of outrage, right? This powerful emotion signals that something is terribly wrong. That's your moral compass pointing you in the right direction. It urges you to take a stand and correct the wrongs you see. It's telling you that something is wrong and needs to be fixed. This emotional drive compels us to act and make a difference. Reason alone is powerless to motivate us to action. Without the spark of emotion, our rational thoughts remain inert. It's our emotions that provide the fuel, the energy that propels us forward, the driving force behind our moral choices. They ignite our passion and determination to do what is right. We don't just think our way to morality, we feel our way there. Our emotions are the heart of our moral experience, guiding us every step of the way. Now let's fast forward a few centuries to the work of Jonathan Haidt, a psychologist who's been making waves with his groundbreaking research on moral intuition and the underlying mechanisms of our moral judgments. Haidt argues that our moral judgments are largely driven by unconscious processes, by gut feelings and intuitions that we can't always explain. These intuitive responses often guide our decisions before our conscious mind even gets involved. Haidt compares our moral minds to a rider on the back of an elephant. The rider represents our conscious reasoning. The rider representing our conscious reasoning likes to think it's in control, making deliberate and rational decisions. But the elephant, representing our intuitions and emotions, is the one who's really calling the shots. It's the powerful, instinctive force that often dictates our actions. Haidt has identified 6 moral foundations that he believes are innate and universal, forming the core of our moral compass. These foundations are like the building blocks of our moral sense, providing a framework for our ethical beliefs and behaviors. They include care and harm, fairness and cheating, loyalty and betrayal, authority and subversion, sanctity and degradation, and liberty and oppression. Each of these foundations triggers specific emotional responses. Our emotional responses to these foundations shape our moral judgments, influencing how we perceive right and wrong. For example, we feel disgust at violations of sanctity, such as acts that degrade or defile what we hold sacred, anger at breaches of fairness, when we witness cheating or injustice, and compassion for those who are suffering, driving us to help and support those in need. So, there you have it. Two brilliant minds, two compelling perspectives on the role of emotions in moral decision-making. Hume, the champion of sentiment, and Haidt, the explorer of intuition. But where does this leave us? Are we slaves to our emotions, doomed to make irrational choices based on fleeting feelings? Not necessarily.
While both Hume and Haidt emphasize the power of emotions, they also acknowledge the importance of reason. Hume believed that reason plays a vital role in clarifying our moral judgments and helping us to make consistent and impartial decisions. He saw reason as a kind of slave to the passions, providing us with the information we need to act on our emotions in a way that is both effective and morally sound. Similarly, Haidt doesn't dismiss the role of reason entirely. He acknowledges that we can use our rational minds to reflect on our intuitions, to challenge our assumptions, and to engage in constructive moral dialogue with others.
The real challenge, it seems, lies in finding the right balance between reason and emotion. In navigating the complex terrain where logic and feelings collide, it's a balancing act that we all struggle with at some point in our lives. Think about it. Have you ever been faced with a moral dilemma where your head and your heart were telling you different things? Maybe you had to make a difficult decision about a loved one, or you were torn between your sense of duty and your personal desires. These are the moments when we're forced to confront the messy reality of our moral lives. The moments when we realize that there are no easy answers, no clear-cut formulas for doing the right thing. Hume's emphasis on emotions reminds us that morality is not a cold, abstract system of rules. It's something that is deeply embedded in our human experience, in our capacity for empathy, compassion, and outrage.
It's about feeling our way through the world, responding to the suffering and joy of others, with our hearts as well as our heads. His work continues to influence fields like moral psychology, ethics, and even artificial intelligence. Researchers are exploring the role of emotions in everything from decision-making to social bonding.
And as we develop increasingly sophisticated AI systems, understanding the role of emotions in human morality will become ever more crucial. Haidt's research has revolutionized the way we think about morality. His work has shown that our moral judgments are not always the product of careful deliberation. They are often driven by unconscious biases, cultural influences, and deeply ingrained intuitions. This has profound implications for everything from politics to social justice. If our moral intuitions are shaped by factors beyond our conscious control, then how can we ever hope to have productive conversations across ideological divides? How can we create a more just and equitable society when our very perceptions of right and wrong are so easily swayed by factors we may not even be aware of? Integrating reason and emotion is surely the best of both worlds. The key, perhaps, lies in finding a way to integrate reason and emotion, to harness the power of both without succumbing to the pitfalls of either. We need to be aware of our emotional biases, but we also need to be open to the wisdom of our hearts. This means cultivating our capacity for empathy, for understanding and sharing the feelings of others. It means being willing to listen to perspectives that differ from our own, even when they make us uncomfortable. And it means being humble enough to acknowledge that we don't always have all the answers. Of course, we can't just let our emotions run wild. As powerful as they are, emotions can also be misleading. We've all made decisions in the heat of the moment that we later regretted. We've all said things we didn't mean because we were angry, scared, or hurt. That's why it's so important to cultivate our capacity for emotional regulation, to learn how to manage our emotions in a way that is healthy and constructive. This doesn't mean suppressing our emotions or pretending they don't exist. It simply means learning how to express them in a way that is respectful of ourselves and others. On the other hand, relying solely on reason can lead to a cold and impersonal morality, one that is detached from the realities of human experience. It's easy to get lost in abstract principles and forget that morality is ultimately about people. Think about it. What good is a moral code that is logically sound but fails to take into account the suffering of others? What use is a system of justice that is blind to the complexities of human emotion? In the end, navigating the moral landscape requires a delicate dance between reason and emotion. It's about finding the sweet spot where our heads and our hearts can work together in harmony. It's a lifelong journey, darling, and there will be missteps along the way. But by embracing both our rational and emotional selves, we can strive to become more ethical, compassionate, and fully realized human beings. And that's something worth striving for, wouldn't you say? And now I want to hear from you. Do join in on the discussion, as we always look forward to hearing from the community. I want to thank Thomas and Aaron for joining me today in the presentation of navigating these moral landscapes. This is your host, Sylvia, signing off for now. As always, we look forward to seeing you in the next video. We thank you for joining us here at Philosophical Flicks for another video, and until we meet again, take care of yourselves and each other.